Back again, week 30. What can I say? This weekend was interesting. We had a total heat wave. It's actually dipped down quite nicely today, which is good because I thought I was going to be sitting in the sauna cutting some weight. But yeah, we had plenty of, combat action with the UFC card, and I guess the most talked about or anticipated fight card, which was Tyson versus Jones Jr. But yeah, look, we'll get onto that a little bit later. Before we get started, I always have to tell people to share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But yes, today we're beaming with the video call all the way down to Melbourne to a good friend of mine. We haven't spoken in a little while. I think the last time we spoke, he was doing a little bit of carpool karaoke as he likes to do when he's driving through the streets of Melbourne, which probably is the fact that we haven't spoken to each other for a while because you haven't been able to drive the streets of Melbourne for a little while. He's the owner of 10th Planet BJJ down in Melbourne. He's the lead commentator for Hex. We originally met through Brace. I'm talking about none other than Mr. Frank Barca himself. How are you? What's been happening?
How you doing this?
And how does it feel to finally be out of lockdown?
Well, it feels fantastic. To be honest, thanks again, Dennis, for having me. I mean, I've been following you on this podcast. I was very excited when you launched your podcast. I was like, I think down the track we're gonna hang out on this podcast. It's gonna be fun. But look, it's great to be out of lockdown. You know, our first official week, full contact week back in Melbourne was last week, so it was a hugely successful week. You know, it was just so awesome just to unmask the dojo, unmask the academy and get back to work. And a lot of eager, very hungry people training on the mat all week long. It's just perfect. As a jiu-jitsu teacher, I mean, what you want is got to make sure your students are showing up regularly in training. And last week was awesome. If that's anything to go by, Dennis, we're definitely back, which is so great. I mean, the last 8 months have been very, very difficult. A lot of businesses have been under enormous strain here in Victoria, and a lot of people have lost their businesses, lost their homes, their families, livelihoods, years and years in the making, just obliterated by this, the way the management of the pandemic down here in Victoria went, and we all know that, and we've all heard all that, and we've been following all that. So, but finally we're back, and it's beautiful. It's just beautiful to feel normal again and get back to work. And, I've been training super hard throughout the entire year, looking for ways to stay active and stay fit and stay focused and get to work. So every day I've been blasting those hills on the mountain bike, and luckily I've got awesome brothers. One of them is a Hawaiian Ironman triathlete, and I'm a two-time Australian Ironman triathlete too. So, we're no strangers to hard work and finding more challenges. So just near my house, within just, literally a minute away, we're in the trails and in the hills. So I've been doing that, riding, 2 hours minimum every day. So that's been, burning a lot of energy and leading up to the opening. So I've been training this morning at 8:30, Pilates, get up real early and hit the Pilates. So it's a movement-based program for mobility and back management. So for everything we do, which is, biking and jiu-jitsu and whatnot, it's very flexion orientated. So to work on the opposing muscles and get them strong and fit is very, very important. I'm really committed to it. So that was my day this morning, starting at 8:30, 9:30, shower. Here I am, 10 o'clock in Melbourne, doing the podcast. So everything's great, man. We're back to work, and that's all I wanted to do is just work. I don't want handouts. I don't want the government to help me. I just want to let me do my thing and provide for my family. And it's been very difficult not being able to do that for the last 8 months, but finally we're back. So that's what I've been up to.
See, and I totally
What about you, Dennis?
I totally agree, because I mean, especially that, right? Everyone always talks about, like, at least we've got all these supplements and stuff like that, and I'm like, it's not about the supplements. It's like you just want to get back to life, right? And it's really tough. Yeah. But we had a few restrictions and stuff like that as well, and that's why I wanted to talk to you, because I can only imagine what you guys went through. I was going mad when I first came back from New York, and I had to quarantine myself for 2 weeks. Mind you, that wasn't even the hotel quarantine; that was at home. And I was going mad. And then obviously I've been speaking to a few athletes along the way on this podcast, and how their experience in hotel quarantine is, and they're going mad. And I'm like, and then I've got a few friends down in Melbourne, and it really was, you know, like I know a couple of them have mentioned, like if Melbourne was to go into another lockdown again, they would consider leaving Melbourne. Like literally, like they were like, we can't do this again. Like we just can't. And like we've had a lot of problems with the businesses up here as well, like getting shut down and not surviving. But like what you guys went through is tenfold. Like it's nuts.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you know, in these situations, it's the first time we've actually in our lifetime that we've had to experience something like this. I mean, I think the last time, you know, as you know, we'll know the numbers and the stories. It's been just rammed down our throats. But you know, the Spanish flu of 1914 or whatever and whatnot. But look, man, I don't know whether we want to open a can of worms here, like on politics and whatnot, because I got my own opinion on that, and we could be here for days breaking that down. But you know, we have some famous areas in Melbourne, and one of them is like Lygon Street, Carlton. I'll give you an example. Literally, Little Italy. You know, I don't know. I'm sure you've been down there, but my family and I've raised my kids going down there, you know, once or twice a month. Our favorite restaurant down at Copperwood. Big shout out to all of those guys down there. Italian restaurant, beautiful ambience, lighting, food's just exquisite. Roadside, you know, beautiful. Just, you know, cars going up and down Lygon Street, buildings, you know, businesses full, and everyone having a great time. Well, we went by there just last week, and also during the pandemic, my wife and I, we actually went for an unlawful skip down Lygon Street just to check it out, and the amount of for lease signs on buildings. And I saw one that particularly really hurt me, and how things are going to change down here and how things will always be changed forever. Is that, you know, a guy just fitted out his cafe, you know, probably spent at least $100K in there. And the sign on the window was, look, just take the lease, take the building as it is, take everything as it is, just take my lease over. You know, like imagine walking away from maybe, let's say, between $100,000 and $150,000 shop fit out restaurant, and just saying, listen, have everything, tables and chairs, take everything the way it is, the bar, everything, just take it. Just take my lease. You know, can you imagine? Like, imagine trying to sign a lease down in Carlton. Like, that would be minimum like 10 years, right? You know, you don't sign a lease in Carlton for 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, you're committing to $1 million in rent, I reckon, at least in 10 years. And to see these places just, you know, empty and just broke my heart, man. Broke my heart. But look, thank God there still is action down there. There still are businesses that have probably had an incredible 20 years that were able to maybe absorb, you know, some of it at least, and reopen or stay open in some way, like, you know, takeaway and whatnot. I mean, I know a lot of restaurants that just became like bottle-os, you know, became like liquor stores that just loaded up on wines and spirits and things and sold them, you know, and to try and survive. You know, how creative and how awesome is that for them? You know, thank God, and I hope it worked for them. You know, but it didn't work for everybody.
It was the same as like the distilleries, right? That turned into like hand sanitizer manufacturers and stuff like that. Like everyone kind of twisted. But I mean, the one thing it had taught me is, I mean, especially talking around my circle of friends and colleagues and whatnot, is it really showed like the way people lived before, right? In the sense of like a lot of people were living paycheck to paycheck, right? And I think the businesses too, like a lot of businesses were literally living or operating on really, really thin margins, right? And so you see like some of the bigger businesses that have survived, they're the ones that obviously had a little bit saved up, same as just people. The people that had a little bit of saving, right? A little bit of savings to fall back on, they handled it okay. But like majority of people, because they're living off paycheck to paycheck, and the businesses, there was no way to survive, like no way to survive. And what I'm worried about when you talk about the new normal now, what I'm worried about is just, I always say we're very social creatures, right? And I worry about that. You know, I find it so weird now when you go visit relatives, even like not even like just people, but relatives. You know, and you always got to do one of these. Is it okay that we hug? Is it, you know? And I find it kind of really odd because like you want to, but then you're like, well, we're being told like social distance, this and that. And you're like, but that's my family. But then you're like, well, the last person I want to get sick is a family member, right? So even more so. And it's just weird. Or like another case was a couple of weeks back, we went out because obviously here we can have bars open again and stuff like that. But the problem was when you go, you can only have a table of 10 and you have to sit down, right? And we had 14, and so you actually had to have 2 tables. But the thing is, you couldn't even go from one table to the other. You had to sit down. So it splits the group. And like by the end of it, you're kind of like, this isn't even fun anymore. Like, why are we even going out? Like it, and I just think that's going to hurt us in the long term. That I just feel like there's a massive kind of, I guess, separation. And it's funny because, like, you know, for years now, Sydney had the lockout laws, right, with bars. And everyone's like, oh, and literally at the start of the year, they cancelled the lockout laws. So everyone's finally like, we get to go out again. And now this has fallen on our lap, right? And it's like, we're never going to win.
Yeah. No, look, I don't know about you, man, but you know, that the whole mask thing is just, I mean, the way they managed it and the way they jump back and forth with their rules and their restrictions and this and that, and then all the enforcement, and then the law enforcement comes in and the press conferences. I mean, between you and I, yeah, right. It's a podcast. I reckon it's a whole crock of shit, and I don't buy it. I don't believe a thing about it. The virus, yeah, it's the flu, yeah, but they just thought, let's use the flu, and we're going to just get the media on our side, which they own, and we know, and I don't care whether you believe this or not, listening to this, it's the truth. If you believe Channel 9, 7, 10, ABC, and SBS, and if you just go by radio, mainstream radio and mainstream television, if you have got that going on, and that's what your story is, and that's what you think is going on, well, you've been absolutely cheated and lied to. It's a crock of shit. And I say that because I've looked into it. I looked deeply into it. And I know, because it's as plain as the nose on your face. Now, if you choose fear over freedom, and this is all I want to talk about with this, Dennis, I'm not going to go on anymore about it.
No,
if you choose fear, then you're going to be scared everywhere you go, not hugging your family, not going anywhere. You're going to stay home. You're not going to go out and eat. You're going to be wearing that stupid freaking piece of underwear on your face. And it's what a crock of shit. Face coverings, and then people who were wearing ice cream containers over their heads and this and that, and that was fine. Like right there, if you don't realize what a crock of shit it was when they didn't even say, you got to wear this mask. Are you joking? Are you kidding me? Like how long? 8 months? How long do you think people are going to buy this for? Well, you know what? A lot of Victorians bought it. They're still buying it. They think Dan is the man. They think he's done an awesome job. You know, people lost their businesses, and then just 2 weeks ago, he goes and sends $87 million to the Greens for the Werribee Zoo upgrade, so we can have an eye view spectacle of Werribee Zoo. Fuck off, right? Give me a break. Like 87 mil. I think some businesses down Logan Street could use some of that money. I think I could have used some of that money. I think my friends in businesses could have used a lot of that money too. You know, hospitals are empty. I've spoken to nurses. It's all a big joke. They're lying to you. They're pumping up the numbers. Look what's going on around the world in the UK and the States. Listen to the language they use. It's exactly the same as what they've been using in Victoria. They rolled it out in Victoria to see what they could get away with. Australians are most, let's just go with the flow in all the world. No protests. Protests were like abysmal. It was embarrassing, the protests in Australia and Victoria. You go look at what's happening in Italy, France, the States. There's millions and millions and millions of people. They've had rallies, elections in the States. They've had hundreds of thousands of people show up at Trump rallies. Give me a break. They're pumping up numbers. It's all about cases. No one's dying. The death rate's the same as it was in 2018 in the US. I mean, what else do I have to tell you to realize that they're trying to freak you out? So if you're going by fear, then you've bought it and it's a new normal and all that stuff that I've listed. Or you can choose freedom. I choose freedom. It's crazy how much freedom people will give up for security just to say, oh, well, the government's going to take care of me. They're going to look after me. Yeah, right. If you look at politicians, how can a career politician in 6 years of Premier Victoria come into the job with nothing, and now he's worth $81 million? $81 million in 6 years if you're on $440,000 annual pay, which he just pumped up during the pandemic. So he was earning less than that, probably 400 grand. So on 400 grand, I don't know, maybe my calculator is Italian and doesn't produce the right numbers, but usually if it's my calculator, it'll be triple. But anyway, so he's a career politician, 6 years in the job, and he's worth 81 mil. How did that happen if you're on 400 grand a year? Well, look into it. I've always been saying, hey, Treasury, why don't you do an audit on Dan Andrews' family for the last 10 years? And let's see where this money's gone from. In fact, there should be a law that all politicians should have an absolute open book on their taxes because we pay them. We pay their salaries. So why shouldn't we have an open discussion about let's see what all these politicians are doing? How can you go from zero to freaking $81 million? Mate, I've been in the martial arts for 41 years. I've been at it for 28, flat out. I work as hard as I can, man. I hardly sleep. I'm on it, and I've got like all areas of my business covered, from commentating, to open my business, to seminars, traveling overseas, to supplements, to supplies, to T-shirts, to merchandising, to online stuff. Are you kidding me? I'm not even worth nowhere near that amount of money. But this guy, well, if you follow it, I bet you the Chinese are just dumping money in his accounts, dude, left, right, and center, because we know that Dan Andrews is part of that kind of movement because he said Victoria will be the gateway to Australia for the CCP, for China. So, and not to mention the Belt and Road situation. Oh my God. So anyway, I'm not going to go on and on about it.
Mate, I totally feel you because
I choose freedom, bro. I choose freedom. All right, I choose freedom. And that's all I want to say. If people are scared stiff, well, the mainstream media have done a job on them, and that's just the way.
Mate, I totally agree with you because the thing is,
joke,
look, the problem is
criminal
about the freedom. I think a lot of people agree with what you've just said, but a lot of people are also scared to voice that opinion, right? That's the first thing.
Now, because I can say something on that as well, and I know you want to say something about that too, and I just want to quickly say, sorry, dude. I just have to say,
you're good.
Is that I'm not mad at anybody. I have to say this because now all these people are like, oh, you're an idiot, Frank Barca, you're a dickhead. No, listen, this is my opinion. I've looked into it, and this is what I came up with. This is just my opinion. But in saying my opinion, I have nothing against anyone that wants to wear a mask, that feels they need to wear a mask, that is afraid of hurting their families, afraid of losing their jobs. Absolutely. 100%. Listen, if I was a frontline healthcare worker and I'm on 180 grand a year and I'm committed with loans coming out of my ass, I got 800 grand in loans and property and this and that, and I got kids in schools that cost me 60 grand a year, and I got 3 kids. Listen, you do what you got to do. You do what you got to do to make it happen and to make it work and to keep your job. 100%. I got nothing against anybody like that because we know that's one person scared stiff. They'll wear the mask. They'll comply. 2, scared to lose the job. Wear the mask and comply. Or if you're the third person, hey, what a crock of shit. I've looked into it. I don't believe it. The numbers are the same. Oh, my God. Flu's disappeared. In Australia, there's no flu. Death by heart attack, diabetes, cancer, down. Everything's down. Why? Funneling everything. You look at all the deaths, man. I mean, just...
Well, I got a headache already. They had a case.
I got a headache already.
Yeah, they had a case this morning on the news that apparently Melbourne, after 30 days of not having a case, they had a death last night, but it was from a woman that got cleared in September. But now they're going to bring it back that it's a COVID death, right? Even though she got cleared in September, it's now a COVID death. And I said this last week. That no one's died of old age since COVID's been around either, right?
Unbelievable.
No one.
Huh? It's amazing.
No one. But no, look, I agree with the politician thing as well because there were 2 things that really annoyed me. And one was we had right at the beginning, we had a politician say, if your business can't make it through this pandemic, maybe you're in the wrong business. And I got really filthy. wait. And I got filthy.
Oh my God.
I got really filthy at that because I thought
that.
I forgot what he was a minister or something. No, he was a guy. He was in
one of your New South Wales ministers?
He was I don't know. He was a backbencher, but he was in a schmick.
He
was in a schmick suit, and he made that statement. And I was like, that's fair coming from you when you're living off our tax dollars, right? So you're living off our tax dollars, and you're telling me that if my business doesn't survive, I'm in the wrong business. So that was the first thing that got me annoyed.
So I'm in jiu-jitsu. You know how many lives we saved? Do you know how mentally, when they said essential businesses, mate, I threw up in my mouth. I threw up in my mouth to think that jiu-jitsu is not essential business or martial arts is not essential business. Are you kidding me? The amount of, okay, so it's okay. It's all about cases, but what about, I lost a friend yesterday from suicide, right? And now, how many people have died from suicide? How many people you probably know that died of suicide? It's a fucking joke, dude. But everybody ignores this stuff. And you know what? The compliance of the police force. How can those police officers Just go, okay, this is what we're going to do today. Oh, yeah, it's my job. I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to enforce these fucking laws. Are you freaking joking? Old people, elderly, pushed over, shoved to the ground, harassed. Are you kidding me? Is this the normal that you want? Really? Really? Because you're petrified because the TV told you? Fucking throw that TV out the freaking first floor window, man. Hopefully it lands on one of those asshole freaking law enforcement people. It's a joke, bro.
Well, I was going to ask you.
What a piece of shit.
I was going to ask you on.
Joke.
Yeah, I was going to ask you on that though, because I know that your police force has been very strong, especially when you guys were in that lockdown. Like the videos that we did see, it was militant. Like it wasn't even like a couple of officers. Yeah. And the reason I wanted to bring this one up is because you were talking about going on your bike rides. The one that made the news, obviously, or did the circles was that guy that was riding his bike in I think a hardware store, probably Bunnings. Right. And he was going around and around. And like, obviously with his GoPro, he was like, check this out. And there's like literally 200 police officers. And then they pull him over and they start to harass him. And they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, exercising. And they're like, no, you're not. Right. No, you're not. And he's like, all right, you tell me what riding a bike is, and they went back and forward. Then they brought in the superiors and then this and that. I think they let him off, but it was just so crazy that he wasn't harming anybody, but like, as I said, the vision was crazy because, as I said, it wasn't even like 2, 3, 4, 5 police officers, like maybe not 100,
200,
but like
it was a lot, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. This is ridiculous.
And this is at a car park at Bunnings. Like, what is going on?
It's just intimidation. It's just scare tactics. It's just scare tactics, and they just did this, and it just shows you that my head hurts, bro. My head hurts when I think about it. And I really don't want to spend all this time talking about this. And I know you want to talk about it because I am in Victoria and I am a business owner and we are in jiu-jitsu and all that stuff. I get it. But it's embarrassing. It's humiliating. It's disgusting. And it's downright an absolute attack on our freedoms. To be able to usher in this new normal that certain states in the world are all pushing hard for. And if you look at all the governors or the premiers or whatever you want to call them, those leaders in these states are all part of a global idea to usher in a one world government, they want to push it. This is not like conspiracy. This is true. You can go on websites and they outline their game agenda step by step on their website. And they put it there because all of us, all of these people around the world that have jobs and have guaranteeing existences in Shangri-La, they can pay their loans, they got their kids are fine. As long as it doesn't affect them, it's fine until it affects them. How many people thought we were all idiots? Oh, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. Look into it. Like, I mean, I think we will see. Don't be stupid. 6 months later, hitting me up. Hey, Frank, you were saying on your podcast about this and that. Look, I actually, looked into it a little bit and fucking, it's absolutely right. I go, hello. It's just that you will comply. You will give up your freedoms just for security. Yeah, the cameras and all that. Yeah, but that makes us safer. I'm like, yeah, cool. Face recognition. Now and all roads lead to where, Dennis? Where do all road leads to? The big, giant freaking vaccination. Yes, the vaccination. They want to change your DNA. The stuff that's in the vaccination that's coming, the COVID-19 vaccination that's been ushered out from Moderna and all these big companies, they have DNA changing structures in them. Let that sink in. But so many will just run headfirst to the vaccination at any moment. As soon as they release this, and beware if they haven't tested this vaccination too long. I mean, really? Be really careful. Now, here's the problem. You want to travel? Oh, you don't want the vaccination? No worries. You don't have to get a jab, but no jab, no job. No jab for your kids, no creche, no preschool, no kindy, no school. Oh, no jab, no domestic travel. I mean, just listen to the asshole from Qantas. The pot dude turning around and saying, well, international travel. Now, do you think international travel, you'll be asking for a mandatory vaccine? Yes, mandatory vaccine. Really? But if you follow that guy, if you follow the leader, the owners of Qantas, which is Qatar Air, all the way back to, guess what? They have money and stock in 600 million shares in the vaccine company. Goes all the way back to there. They're all connected to the airlines. Of course, they're all in on it. You know what, dude? Over the last 15 years of me traveling to LA to go and train with Eddie and the boys over there and our team and my classmates in LA for jiu-jitsu, big shout out to all my friends and Eddie, of course, out there, 10 Planet, is I've dumped thousands. I reckon I've probably invested 80 grand over the last 15 years in going back and forth. Do you know how many times I used Qantas? Do you know how many frequent flyer miles I have? I don't give a fuck, mate. I'm canceling all that shit. I'm never taking another Qantas flight. I don't care if it's 8 cents. Well, maybe for 8 cents. But I'm never taking another flight with Qantas again. Dude, are you joking? You are going to start pushing this fear-mongering to us who have supported you assholes all these decades, and now you're going to say, oh, no jab, you're not going to fly in our plane? Fuck off. What? Dennis, that's the biggest load of shit I've ever heard in my life. Wait a second. I got to jab my arm so I can go to work and teach a seminar in freaking Queensland or in Sydney or in Adelaide or in Perth, and I need a jab to fly over to LA again to go and do what I've been doing for 15 fucking years safely. I've come back from wars over there on the mats, and then I got to go and take a jab, and I got to risk my DNA being changed and altered and getting sick and put an RFID chip in my body so I can just wave my arm instead of paying cash. What the fuck is wrong with you? Are you kidding me? Get the hell out of here, man. That for me, that's why I said if you wanted to open this can of worms, dude, just be careful what you want to do with me when it comes to this, because I can go really deep into this, but I'm just. The problem is, Dennis, people don't look into nothing.
No, I totally understand.
They don't look into it, mate. And then I come on, we have this conversation, you and me, on a Monday morning, and they're like, turn it off. This dickhead. Really?
No,
really? Look at the farce. Look at the bullshit around the states and how they've all met. They don't even know how to manage it. Dude, around the states.
Dude,
Queensland.
As I said to you,
or whatever their fucking name is. What a joke, man.
As I said to you,
what a joke.
I believe that a lot of people would be in agreement with what you're saying. But they just don't. Stiff. They just don't have.
I'm saying it because I've fucking got my own business. So I don't give a shit. I can say whatever the hell I want, man. And I can. Hey, you want to talk to me about it? Come down. 190B Sussex Street, North Coburg, 10th Planet Melbourne. First class is always on me. Always on me. Come down and we'll talk about it. No dramas. Or if you want to get the hell out of your state and come down to Melbourne, I don't know if you want to come down to Victoria. It's a fucking joke down here, man. But it's true. They're afraid. I don't give a fuck. Mate, well, I can't lose any more. I'm probably down 120 grand for the year. Bring it on. Bring it on. Fuck. I don't care anymore.
But it is that fear thing. And look, we're going to wrap this part of it up. But I said the same thing. I did a little, Instagram poll about, the quarantine, right? And the option was, do you want to do the 2-week quarantine, or do you want to do it like at home, potentially wearing a bracelet, or they were going to have an iPhone app or something like that? 96% of people voted that they would prefer to keep the hotel quarantine. I'm like, that's just crazy. That's just crazy. Right? Because you ask anyone that's done like when I talk to the athletes that have done the hotel quarantine, it's a jail cell. Like it's a little box that you're sitting in, right? You can't open the windows, so you can't get fresh air. Like these guys are like, this is crazy. Like the fact that this is becoming what you have to do to come back to your own country is just insane.
Not to mention all the amount of people from China they were allowing into Melbourne every single night during our curfew between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. I live 11 minutes from the airport. I'm right on, like, just adjacent to the flight path. And the only things I was seeing coming in during those freaking, at least the last 5 months, was just China Air, baby. China fucking Air. And I know what China Air logo looks like because I've flown on it a bunch of times. So I've done 5 international shows for Rebel FC over in Singapore and China. So I know what's going on, dude. And I got people working at the airport and going, where are all these people coming in from to China. And not to mention, they had like an aviation school just in the outer region here in Victoria. And that was closed. All businesses were closed. But all these China pilots from China were allowed to still do their flight training and all play soccer and on their breaks and all sit around together with no masks when someone went in there with their phones. And they denied it. It's there on your freaking phone, Dennis. But yet people are still, the numbers, the surge, the second wave, which might I add, Dan Andrews fluffed the freaking hotel quarantine and put his mates in charge in 3 days, agreed on a 30 million. 30 million? I could have had my boys from the dojo, 10th Planet Melbourne, fucking go in there and make sure no motherfucker was going to go nowhere.
I was just about to say that.
Take care of that shit. I would have done it for 3 million, and we'd all would have had Lambos.
I was just about to say that
hell.
he would have been better off getting you guys to pull the security.
Fucking what a joke, bro.
Right.
And you look at all that. How the fuck can you still? Oh, Dan, you've done such a great job. Because these poor people, I feel sorry for them, man. I'm not even angry at them. Watching fucking sunrise. And should hear them when they report, oh, today, dark times in Victoria, cases up, a record high, hospitals overrun. You go for a drive. I'll go over on my bike, go for a drive in these places. They're fucking empty. People are going in there with their cell phones and they're fucking empty, bro. It's a fucking lie. Nurses coming out. They're doing TikTok videos. Do they look busy and overrun to you, TikTok videos, for 8 months? Are you kidding me? They shut them up, bro. They shut them up. Not to mention the incentive program they had for hospitals where, hey, listen, if you can just put it down as a COVID death, we'll give you $30,000 a person. How does that sound? What? Yo, everyone is dead. COVID. Got it. Mate, they're making $1 million. They're making like $1 million a day. No worries. Another one. Yo, shit, that's another 30 grand, Betty. Oh, another one. Oh, diabetes. No, shut up. Another COVID death. We're up to 90 million. It's 10 o'clock. Hey, take a coffee break. TikTok videos go. Are you fucking joking me? Are you fucking joking? Because why? Because the TV tells you. The TV tells you. The TV tells you. If the news, Channel 9 tells you. Peter Hitchener, yes, on tonight's news, the vaccines at Expediency, we're going to have a record vaccine. And, mate, they just frightened everybody to death to want to run head first and get that jab, bro. I'm telling you. Even, you watch what happens when it's available.
Even with the vaccine, what gets me there is how can they be so sure that it's 95% good? Like, we've never had a vaccine that is, like I spoke to a guy and he was involved in a company that makes vaccines. And he said, as long as a vaccine is 50% successful, it can go to market. So usually, like vaccines, as soon as they're 50, 60, so how can they suddenly all of a sudden, like, at a drop of a dime, and not just one company, multiple companies come up with these vaccines that are 95% successful? That's the thing that I'm like, how can you be so sure that they're 95% successful? We've never had that, ever.
Mate, and not to mention that first it was 90% successful, and then one company said we're 93% successful now. And then the other company went, oh, we're at 95% success rate now. I'm like, oh, wow, look at that. In a week, success rates on this vaccination gone up like 3% in 1 week. This is amazing. What a crock of shit. Oh, my God.
But anyway.
Forever I wanted, like, flights to Mars. It's now. If I could open a 10th planet in Mars, I would.
Well, speaking of which, I mean, is Mars the 10th planet? Like, I don't even know. So let's get on to 10th planet. Where does the branding
you're making me happy now.
Right? Where does the branding of 10th planet come from? Is it to do with the 10th planet or what what's the meaning behind it?
Jiu-jitsu, I'm sure it did, unfortunately, like NASA and all that, they're so equipped with some amazing technology and, so many satellites and which are all CGI and whatnot, all the photos of the Earth and stuff like that. But anyway, let's not get into that. But it's something like that. But look, Eddie always said, he goes, imagine what Jiu-Jitsu would look like on another planet. That's probably how 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu would look like to the mainstream people. And sure enough, when we brought 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu to Australia and other brothers and sisters of mine from LAHQ, when they went out into the world and started running their schools, 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu really looks like it's from another planet. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you just look at the clinching system, the 10th Planet system with, the way it's a clinch-based system. It's not an open guard style game. I mean, we've seen it evolve, especially with sub only and whatnot, where it wasn't just purely for MMA anymore. It was now for sub only and whatnot. And of course, we've gone into medaling in IFBJJ World Championships and whatnot. So we've got high level representatives in all different branches of competition. So yeah, man. I mean, the clinch based system, especially with the innovation of the back taking, with the truck and all the options from the truck with calf slices, the twister, of course, the big daddy of them all, and the banana splits and crotch rippers and whatnot, and calf slices and just the controls to the back. I mean, that alone is just a whole revolutionary new way of looking at the back as a intermittent transition from side control to the back. There's this new area that the 10th Planet system is completely and wholeheartedly responsible for. Not to mention, rubber guard, and we've seen how effective rubber guard can be in MMA against strikes. I mean, if you have a true, honest, developed rubber guard, not throw it up in the last 12 seconds of the fight and my face is being pushed into the back of my head. Oh, I'll throw up some rubber guard. I'm not talking about that situation. I'm talking about people that know how to use rubber guard like any other guard, proficient at it, just completely shuts down their right arm. You zombie that arm out of the mix, hug your knee, that hand is out of the mix. And now we can use a meat hook and control your free hand. We've got a free hand. And they can't posture, they can't punch, they can't stomp on you, they can't headbutt you or shoulder bash you or anything. And now we can start isolating limbs. If we want to stand up, we want to go to half guard and stand up, we want to bail, we can do all that. Or we can submit them from there. And we can throw elbows, as we've seen Ben Saunders a million times in the UFC off his back, opening people up with those elbows from the bottom. I mean, such a safe and effective way of controlling people from your guard. And not to mention all the clinches from the top positions from the mount and setting up so many great transitions. I mean,
so
no
are you saying so alien. Like 10th Planet isn't BJJ as most schools would have it? Are you saying it's more of like a hybrid kind of version? I mean, if you're talking about throwing elbows
Brazilian
and stuff?
Jiu-Jitsu all the way. No, it's just originally 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu was designed to improve the level of Jiu-Jitsu in MMA against strikes, because Eddie was really he was a little bit shattered because these Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts would go in MMA on their backs and they would lose, and they would have these amazing guards in competition, but they couldn't do anything against anyone in MMA. And he was like, that bothered him. So he looked at it and tried to work out better ways of setting up submissions from clinch-based scenarios where people couldn't posture up and get punched, and came up with this incredible rubber guard. So it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu all the way. But, it's just an evolved version of it. No gi. I mean, he was the only school in the world to promote no gi Jiu-Jitsu. I was the first school in the Southern Hemisphere to teach no gi Jiu-Jitsu. Here in the Southern Hemisphere, I will say Australia, but it's, there's more countries in the Southern Hemisphere than Australia. I was the only school outside of LA that was doing this. I mean, we were looked upon as aliens too, so it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, no gi. And now what do we see with the no gi movement? What do we see now? No gi is like normal. No gi is normal now.
So hang on.
Totally normal.
Are you saying you don't do gi at all?
We don't wear gis in my school. We have no gis. I haven't worn a gi.
So it's just years. Okay, because that's interesting. Because when I had Tiago on, he was talking about that the grading system is only for the gi, and basically it converts across to the no gi. So if you're like a blue belt in the gi, then you're a blue belt in the no gi. He said there isn't actually a grading system specifically developed for the gi. But if you only do no gi, is there a grading in the no gi?
100%. I'm a black belt. I'm a first degree black belt under Eddie Bravo. That's it. Gi or no gi. I'm a black belt, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. My specialty is no gi Jiu-Jitsu.
Crazy.
For those people that are out there, listen, there've been people out there. I mean, lately, there's been some interview, I don't know, some Brazilian guy or whatever, and I don't care if it's Brazilian or Maltese. I don't care. It's irrelevant what nationality he is. Saying that, if you're a no gi school and you call yourself a purple belt, it's bullshit. Like, there's no belts in no gi. What are you talking about? We have a curriculum. We have a structure. We have fundamentals classes to impart all of the basics, all the positions. All the positions are the same. Transitions are there. We have the back. We have side control and knee on belly. We have all sorts of transitions, all the same. Leg locking. Well, what about that? You want to talk about that? You want to talk about how many Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools in the gi that don't even do leg locks, don't even allow leg locks until they're brown belts? Oh, yeah, you're a brown belt and you're a white belt at leg locks. Yeah, no worries. Even the IFBJJ allowing leg locks now. Why? Because they can't hold it back anymore. They can't resist the flood anymore. can't do it. What a joke. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely preposterous to say that, if you do no gi, you're just a wiper. Oh, really? Fucking come on, man.
No,
What a joke.
I don't think he was saying
what
that.
What a joke.
Like,
No.
No,
not him. Not him.
What my question...
I heard someone else. Someone else
yeah.
was saying that if you do no gi, it's bullshit. There's no ranks in no gi. It's worth nothing. That's what he was saying. I don't think it was Thiago. Someone else. I don't care who it was. The point is, it was said. It was said. Right? I read it. I saw it. It was said. If it's no gi, it's bullshit. I'm like, listen, man. I don't agree with that. You want 15 years of me putting in all this effort into my school. Why is my business so successful? Why do we have so many soldiers? Why do we win so many team titles? Why do we win so many divisions? Why? Because it's bullshit. Because it's bullshit. Because it doesn't work. Why does it? Because you say it doesn't work because we're not wearing a gi. Dude, that's your problem. That's not my problem. That's your problem. We have never been disrespectful to the gi community ever. Neither has Eddie. He's never seen, it's all bullshit. No, we make jokes. I mean, who doesn't joke about the 10th planet system? I can't walk in a room and some idiot snickering under his breath some smart-ass remark. But, that's okay because we're bigger than that. We're bigger than that. It shows more about them than it does us, but I take it very, very to heart. I take it, I don't want to use the word personal, but I'm trying to stand up for all the no-gi people out there.
Well, you're passionate.
Some people just don't like it. Some people just don't like the gi, bro. What, something wrong with that? Well, we can't do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because we don't like the gi. We just want to roll with a T-shirt and a pair of freaking shorts. There's a problem with that. But last time I checked, you do. Last time I checked, you guys were the first ones to do it. And then you made us fall in love with it, and we want to go just down that road. But now it's not accepted, or now you want to tell us that we don't deserve to be ranked. Really? I disagree.
Yeah. No. And I mean, my question...
I don't care what anybody thinks.
My question to him was like, literally, can you be, say, a black belt in gi and say a brown or a blue belt in no gi? And he said no. Like, so his response was that the grading that you have in gi automatically converts across to your no gi rating. That's kind of how that one was explained. But then a system like yours is purely no gi, so it's just different. But you guys run your own tournaments too, right?
What do you mean? Where? Here in Australia? Overseas? Where? Like, because it's different everywhere.
Because when I was talking to someone about...
What do you mean? We're just going...
Well, about potentially...
I don't understand.
I'm saying I spoke to someone. I was telling them that I was going to have you on at some stage, and they were like, ask them about the 10th Planet tournaments, because they, in their eyes, they were a really big fan of it. And I was like, why? What makes your tournaments different to others?
Okay. We don't have 10 Planet tournaments, but I think what he's referring to is our qualifiers, our 10 Planet HQ qualifiers we have in the States at Eddie's school headquarters. When, for instance, there's a Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds right now in Cancun. Right now, they're on right now. We only give 2 spots in each weight class to our 2 top guys in that weight class. We don't just flood the whole tournament with 20 of our 10th Planet guys. That wouldn't be fair. So what is fair is that we have 2 guys and they're on the same side of the bracket. Look how hard we make it for ourselves. To make it fair, Eddie goes, no, we only have 2 of our best guys in each weight class, and they're on the same side of the draw. So only one of them can win. Get what I mean? Like, Eddie can't make it any fairer than that. And what happens is we've got like squadrons of killers in each weight division. So how are we going to only pick 2? So Eddie runs, maybe a month out, 10P HQ qualifiers. So for instance, if it's for 155, everybody who wants to compete at 155, they put forward their best guys in their gyms. They all go to HQ and they literally gunsling. They're gunslingers, and we're going at it and to produce the winner. The winner will be the second spot because we know who our top guy is in the weight class, and we have to find a second spot. Would you believe they even do a qualifier for a backup spot? So just last month we had a qualifier, and the guy that won the qualifier was just in case one of the top 2 guys drops out, that guy moves straight in. So he goes through a whole prep, a whole qualifier through with all these beasts at HQ, and we all put them on live on YouTube. So if you want to go to Eddie's YouTube channel, you can watch any of these submission style grappling tournaments at HQ from LA, from Eddie's gym, right there for yourself. You can watch them. And that's what he's probably referring to when he says our tournaments. We don't have our tournaments. I mean, they're qualifiers for things like EBI, which we haven't seen in a while. But combat jiu-jitsu is the thing that we're really pushing hard for right now because it's more of the original jiu-jitsu. You know, I remember those dojo storms. It was all open palm strikes were allowed. You know, the Gracie dojo storms. I don't know if you remember some of those Gracie videos, Gracie in action videos. That's all Eddie's doing. Eddie's game all the way when he started EBI was to usher in CJJ. And years ago, they wouldn't accept it. They couldn't get to sanction it. But now they certainly can. And Eddie wanted it in an open mat, not in a ring or a cage. So finally, you know, you see CJJ is on a platform, you know, on a mat, big stage with palm strikes only when it hits the ground. So look how many areas we've opened up in the world for jiu-jitsu. It's how much work Eddie has done and the team in promoting no-gi style jiu-jitsu in all its different formats. It's just amazing. I hope to see no-gi jiu-jitsu in the Olympics one day. I really would. I think it would be fantastic, you know. You got Greco-Roman, you got judo, right? So you can have Brazilian jiu-jitsu in the gi, just like judo, and you can have no-gi submission jiu-jitsu, just like Greco-Roman wrestling, you know, with a singlet. You know what I mean? Like you can have a blue rashi and a red rashi if you wanted to. I mean, there's ways to get around it, and it should be an Olympic sport because there's such an overwhelming attraction to it, and so many countries that are deeply involved in it and have that I think it would be just such an opportunity to have no-gi jiu-jitsu in the Olympics. I think it would be amazing. I mean, look at ADCC. Look at the popularity and the excitement around ADCC. Just going off 2018, it was just 2019, which is just amazing. I mean, Lachlan Giles and, you know, Gordon Ryan and all these, you know.
So let me
Gary
ask you this:
Tony
when you're talking about people going to HQ to have these inter tournaments or qualifiers or whatever it is, and you're saying HQ's in LA, does that mean for this year there's been no qualifiers at all, or how does that work? Like you can't.
Well, they just did one a month ago.
Can you have a qualifier, say your gym in Melbourne, or no?
No, because they got to go to LA to do those qualifiers.
So say there's some some guys that train at your gym and they want to be in that qualifier, like they're just not this year, I guess, right? They just don't have the opportunity.
Well, we don't. I mean, especially with all these travel restrictions and whatnot, and quarantining and whatnot. So there's no way. I mean, it's a tough one for guys that are overseas. It's a tough one. It's usually the qualifiers are for those guys that are in and around America. You know, so the longest flight you'd be able to take would be like 4 hours. You know, from the East Coast to the West Coast is a 4-hour flight. You know, for us, it's like 15 hours one way. You know, it's a long way to go to a qualifier and get tapped in 8 seconds because you were a little bit jet lagged. You know.
No, and that's why I asked. I just wasn't sure, like, if you have a qualifier in your gym and then the best from your gym goes. No. Yeah, cool.
No. We wouldn't even have a qualifier. We would just send our best guy, and if it was in dispute, we'd set up something, of course, and just like Eddie does, and we would just, you know, cut to the chase and get to that decision and just send them over. But you know, it's for a qualifier. Yeah. Unless someone's just absolutely wrecking everyone here in Australia, Eddie would probably put him in on the card. But then again, how do they stack up against the best guy in America, you know? That's representing 10th Planet. You know, they'd have to eventually duke it out and work out who's the best. You know what I mean? So a qualifier is the only way to settle it, and that's what Eddie does at HQ. And we had one a month ago, and the Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds are on now, and we see those guys competing today.
Now, I have to ask you, only because we've both had dealings with it, Tony Ferguson, his last fight.
Yeah, wow. That was
what was your kind of take on that? Because to be honest with you, I was telling everyone I thought Tony would be the guy that potentially takes that belt of Khabib, and then obviously, I mean, look, he did get beat. I mean, there's no disputing that. But like, where do you think that went wrong? And also the other thing that I wanted to ask you, because there was a little bit of talking about Eddie, a little bit of back and forward that his cornering wasn't up to par, but then obviously I think when he was on Rogan's podcast, he was talking about like, hey, I'm not a striking coach, like I got put in there and so forth. So what's your opinion on how that fight went down, and where do you think potentially like it went wrong for him? And two, how do you feel the handling of the whole, as I say, the cornering of how do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, look, Tony is such a savage. I've trained with Tony. I've known Tony. We're friends. We're good friends. We're actually really good friends. We communicate regularly, and And when I'm up in 2017, I was up there with Calvin Gastelum training with him, getting ready for the Kevin Lee fight. We were up running it, we were training at Big Bear at the time. And Tony's an absolute savage. And although he's an amazing wrestler, his jiu-jitsu is amazing, his leg locks are amazing, he really is. But he'll go in there and he'll fight. And he'll fight like fighters do. They stand there and they're going to try and knock each other out. The fact that he wrestles, the fact that he's got amazing jiu-jitsu and all that is irrelevant to Tony. He's there to fight Justin Gaethje, and he's going to fight the way he wants to fight him. He wanted to fight Justin. See, this is another thing. Tony's Tony, and if you know Tony, he'll do whatever he wants. And so he should. I mean, the guy's probably one of the greatest MMA fighters ever. So, and that's no disputing. So he went out there and he wanted to outstrike Justin Gaethje. It ended up catching up with him. But in his defense, you look at the end of the second round. What happened? Do you remember?
Yep.
He actually knocked down Justin Gaethje, and if he had another 30 seconds, he would have finished him.
I was just about to say if there was another 20, 30 seconds, it could have looked a whole lot different.
Would have been over. Right? So we know that we could easily be talking about Tony's fight against Khabib right now, but we never will, because what continued on in that fight to the end in the fourth or the fifth that he was stopped. Was it the fifth? I can't remember.
I think so.
Was it the fourth round? I think it was the fourth round. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So we miss on that opportunity, and he thinks, oh, it'll come again. Justin made adjustments. Amazing cornering from his coaches. Managed to, Justin Gaethje striking. I mean, it's like getting hit with a wet mop with a sledgehammer underneath it, right? He hit so hard, and Tony's one of the toughest guys I've ever seen. And for him, his nervous system to start shutting down and twitching, and he must have really hurt his neck badly in that fight, because that's a classic. That's like you could see that he had like neck, head pain or whatever it might have been to start, literally just malfunctioning. That's the only way I could describe it. Just shows you how much punishment Tony could take. And in the end, his nervous system was like, listen, bro, how long can we do this for? And he was really rocked. And I thought it was a great stoppage, to be honest with you. I really didn't want to see Tony down on the ground getting, with Justin. Can you imagine with Justin Gaethje on top of you, just unleashing hell on Tony. So I'm glad that didn't happen. It was a great stoppage. And how do I think it could have gone a bit differently? I think if Tony had have wrestled and taken him to the ground, which for Tony might be not fighting the way he wanted to fight. You know what I mean? Clearly he didn't. But I think personally, and this is just my opinion, and this is nothing against Tony or anybody or any of the corners or the team, that I was just hoping to see in the third round, let's just take this fool down. Let's take him down. Let's pass. And let's just put a choke on this guy. Hit an anaconda on him or a das that Tony's amazing at. And let's just go and order some drinks. Let's just get out of here. You know what I mean? I was thinking, come on, Tony. All right. Okay, you nearly had him in the second. All right, let's wrestle. Let's put this dog away. Let's put him away. No, didn't go to his wrestling at all. And in the end, he was so beat down, he lost the fight. So I would have loved to have seen Tony wrestle, because I know what a powerful, talented wrestler he is. And to not see it in that fight hurt me. It hurt me. I felt, fuck. But that's just me, because I love Tony and I wanted us to win so bad and have a shot at Khabib. So that's the situation.
And I think he would have a better shot at Khabib because of that.
For sure.
Because of that.
Well, okay. So let's just wrap up with no. Do you want to talk about that now, or you want to talk about the cornering and then that? Or you want me to stay
let's
on
go
that
to cornering. Go to the cornering.
Okay, it's okay. We can do it any way you want. So the cornering, look, as Eddie said, he wasn't the lead trainer. He's not the striking coach. He's there to help with the fight hits the ground. He's there to help with the jiu-jitsu side of things. All of a sudden, he's thrown in there, and now everyone's thinking, oh, he's the coach, and he's thinking you might have to throw up. Well, how's that different to saying, bro, shoot, let's wrestle? How's that different to, hey, you might have to throw an Imanari in there or something, like just get on his legs? That's good advice. It's good advice if your striking is not. Dude, I'm a commentator in MMA. I see it this far away. I've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fights. I've called a lot of fights. I've followed it my whole life. How is that bad advice? Bro, you're getting lit up and touched up and dotted like a freaking alphabet. Listen, you need to go and change tact here. How is that bad advice? How's that bad advice? It's not. Well, because it's Eddie and because he goes, bro, I think we need to throw up an Imanari. Everyone's like, oh my God. How is that? If he said, listen, you might have to shoot a double. We need to really get on this guy, maybe wrestle. No one would have said nothing. They would have said, yeah, good advice. Because he said, maybe we need to throw in an M&O. What he meant was we need to mix it up here. We need to maybe change tact here. That's all it means. Let's pull up a red sail instead of the white one. That's all that meant, dude. And for people to get on Eddie, they were just emotional. They wanted a better outcome, I guess, maybe for Tony or whatnot. But here's another opportunity for people to shit on him, This is just typical. But anyway, that's what I think about it. It wasn't bad cornering. It was good advice. I understand where he's coming from because I know Eddie well. I know Tony well. I know what Tony's capable of doing. I know how many weapons are in his arsenal. I know he can switch it up anytime he wanted to, but he chose not to. He chose not to, and he chose to go out on his shield, which he did. And, I'm not going to say nothing about that because it's fucking his fight to win and lose. It's not my fault my fight or Eddie's fight to win or lose. It was completely Tony's, and it was his decision. And I totally respect whatever decision he wanted to make and the consequences that came from it. We're not making no excuses. We can't wait to get back in there. Now he's fighting Charles Oliveira. I personally think that the matchup would have been fucking Conor McGregor. Conor Hune's one of my best mates in LA. I'm wearing his t-shirt right now. Big shout out to Conor Hune at Denver, Colorado, 10p. But the money fight for me would have been Conor McGregor and Tony Ferguson, not fucking Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. Come on, man. That's the money fight. And you're going to give Charles Oliveira to Tony? What? That seems like an Edson Barboza rematch if you look at it, because they're kind of like that. Oh, anyway, you asked me.
And Tony has actually stated like he wants McGregor. Like when I was out in Vegas with Tony,
what would you rather see?
They were still under the same management, and he's like, I want that McNuggets. Like he was straight after him, right? No,
all right,
I agree.
What would you rather see?
Well, what I want to see,
Conor McGregor and Dustin Dustin Poirier. I can't even say.
No, what I want to see, what I really want to see, is Khabib come back for the 30-0. And that fight be against Tony. That's what I want to see. And I know people have stated, how can you give Tony that fight on a loss? And I guess that's why they're giving him Charles now.
Easy.
But my thing is, like, before that, he was on a 13-fight win streak. Then I always point now to the Jose Aldo fight that he lost. And then everyone's like, oh, yeah, but Dana White thought he won, so therefore he went straight into a title shot. But I just feel like, I'd like to see Khabib finish with 30-0 if he can do it. And two, I think that's the match to make. Honestly, if you ask me, that's the match I want to see. I want to see Khabib versus Tony. But if Khabib doesn't come back, yes, give him Conor. But I would actually prefer the Khabib over Conor.
I would rather see it.
I want to see, as I keep saying, I want to see Conor fight Nate Diaz for the trilogy with no crowd right now because I want to listen to the smack talk. That's what I want.
100%.
That's what I want.
100%. Yeah, man. I mean, we just want look, we know what we want. We're the fucking fans. We're the ones that are paying for all this shit. We're the ones paying all the pay-per-views. We're there talking bars. We're the ones going out and having a drink with our mates and breaking down the Gaethje Ferguson fucking fight. We want to talk about the Diaz McGregor too and how that went. We're the fans, man. We're the ones that have kept this whole thing going. We're the paying customers, I really, and if you did a poll on the Oliveira Ferguson or the Poirier McGregor, you're going to say people, dude, swap them around. Get Tony fighting McGregor and get freaking Charles Oliveira fighting Poirier. That's a great matchup. That's a really good matchup. Charles Oliveira trying to take Dustin down and submit him. Charles Oliveira's jiu-jitsu is amazing. And Dustin Poirier is so tough. He's got a great guillotine. Nearly, he got it on Khabib. That was really, really good. I mean, I'd rather see that. That makes sense to me. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just had too many freaking rear naked chokes put on me or something. I don't know. Too many head kicks from the 80s. That's my opinion.
Now, let me ask you real quickly, and I just want to get onto the commentating as well. Did you watch the fights over the weekend?
Mate, I can't believe you're asking me this. I said to my family yesterday, I go, all right, I'm booking the TV. Such a busy day. Started at the crack of dawn, training, podcast. I had such a full-on day yesterday. No kidding. And I said, I'm booking the TV because I got an 18-year-old son, 18-year-old daughter and a 20-year-old son, plus my wife too, and we all got our thing that we like to do. I'm like, I'm booking a TV. I recorded the UFC. I'm going to watch them all because I know he's going to ask me, and I want to look like a schmuck. I'm a commentator. I'm not going to know the results. Well, guess what? by the end of the day, I was so beat down. I couldn't even watch it, man. I was just dead. So I didn't even look. I haven't even seen them, mate. CJJ Worlds are right now in Cancun, Mexico. My teacher's running a whole freaking. Our squad is running a whole promotion right now. I can't even watch it. I'm doing this podcast now. I haven't even been able to watch that. So short answer, no, sorry. And don't judge me. Don't judge me.
No, I wasn't going to. The reason I ask is obviously watch the main event. You'll be glad to see Anthony Smith is back and how he finished that fight. I'm sure you'll.
Who did Anthony Smith fight in that?
Was it Devon? Well, I don't know.
There's so many fighters now, man. I just
Devon?
can't keep up, dude.
But like,
anyway,
it was
but he won.
it is Devon Clark. And it was a good finish. You will appreciate it anyway. But no, the reason I was actually more going.
He submitted him.
No, but the way he did it, it was good. You'll like it.
All right, awesome.
Yeah. And no, the reason I asked is for the first time I thought that the boxing world actually trumped the MMA world. Right.
Let's talk about that.
Right. And
I saw that fight.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. It's the first time in a long time that I think there was more hype behind a boxing match than there was behind the MMA.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it wasn't even a real boxing match. It was an exhibition match. But it generated so much steam, even to the point that at the post-presser for the UFC, they were asking Dana about the boxing fight.
Boxing results.
And he was giving answers like he was watching the fight. And I'm like, hang on a sec. So were you sitting in the front row of your UFC fight, like watching the boxing fight? Like it was ridiculous. Like the fact that it generated so much steam. So you obviously watched the boxing. What do you think?
What did I think? Well, congratulations to the promotion. Congratulations to both Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., two of my favorite boxers of all time. I got raised on American kickboxing and Western boxing big time in the Sugar Ray Leonard days and the Thomas Hearns and the Marvin Haglers and the Muhammad Alis and the Jeff Fennicks and the Zuma Nelsons. And I was in the thick of it back then, Roberto Duran and all those greats. And I was a huge Tyson fan. I saw all his fights. I saw the two fights with Evander Holyfield, the ear biting situation, and right through the imprisonment, the rape allegations, and all that crap that went through all of the highs and lows, the Tigers and the Hangover, and all that stuff. Huge Tyson fan, dude. I got to say, I'm friends with Rafael Cadera Sensei. He cornered Mike Tyson. He is also, he's a trainer of champions. Verdum and
Calvin.
Trainer of Vanderlei Silva, Cyborg. It goes on and on and on. Calvin Gastelum. They were in my school in 2018. We had the privilege of hosting them the last training week here before the UFC here in Melbourne, where Rob Whittaker was going to fight Calvin, and Rob had to pull out because he had stomach issues and whatnot and surgery. But so we got to get to know Cadero Sensei very well over that week, and to see him preparing Mike Tyson over these last few months online, just watching Tyson go at it like the Tyson of old, skinny ankles still, but those black shoes, those black socks, those black shorts, that peekaboo style, the body shots, the left hook, the big bombs, Roy Jones just doing his thing, trying to clinch left, right, and center, try and stay on the outside. Yeah, good luck with Tyson and try and make a fight of it. I thought they both did really well. I loved it. I don't care if it was an exhibition. It wasn't a fucking exhibition to those guys. I don't agree with the scorecards. Of course, it's an exhibition. Everyone's a winner. Everybody wins. Yeah, I get it. But I think Tyson probably nudged him in that fight. And the greatest thing about it was the post-fight interview. My son and I are watching it just before our podcast on the couch. The girls were out shopping. And me and Andre were just howling with laughter. It was freaking amazing. I've got it on my Instagram. Go to Frank Barker 10P4L on Instagram. And it's probably up there on Ariel Helwani's Instagram. Go to his. It's probably more famous Instagram. You probably feel better punching that in than mine. Go ahead. It's all the same shit anyway. But you go watch the post-fight interview and you hear Tyson and Roy Jones go at it. Tyson in all his Tyson glory with the way he talks and his animated characteristics. And it was just, I'm not going to wreck it. Just go and watch it. And I'm telling you, man, it is the greatest 4 minutes you'll ever watch this week. So cool. So I loved it, Dennis. I really did. And thank you for asking me. I mean, we were talking about it on the podcast yesterday. So if you really want to get a more in-depth breakdown of what I thought about it, you can go to the 10 podcast. It'll be up tonight on all the usual platforms. But it was great, Dan. It was great, man, to see Tyson out there again. And he has plans, bro. He has plans. He has plans to continue. And to see Rafael Cordero Sensei there, such a legend with a legend, in the corner, on the pads, making the walk. I sent him a message yesterday. I'm just so fucking excited for him. Oh, it's just beautiful. For me, the world is small. You know, I'm so lucky, but I loved it. And I can't wait for the next one.
No, I have to agree. I love the black shorts. Just plain black shorts. I was like, that is such an old school throwback. I thought that was unbelievable. Right. I thought Tyson won it also. I really did. What I found weird was that it was a draw, but what I found even weirder was that there was judges in the first place, because leading into the event, everyone was like going, they can't knock each other out and there is no winner. So as soon as they went, and the judges for this fight I'm like, why have we got judges for? No one can win. And then when it came out as a draw, I was kind of like, well, I guess it was fixed in my eyes, right? In the sense of, well, no one can win, so we make it a draw.
Yeah,
like it was
really?
Right. That's kind of what
like
it
no
was.
One's gonna lose unless someone's out cold. No one's gonna lose, right?
Right. So I just
Tyson
found it.
Hitting with,
I just found it weird that they even had judges there in the first place when it was this whole presumption that no one can win. So what's the point of having judges?
Well,
but no, I found
Tyson landed some really good shots.
Right.
I mean, Roy Jones landed a couple
good.
of crisp shots too, but he did look good. He looked good. Dude, do you remember Roy Jones when he was in his peak, dude?
Yeah.
That guy. Do you remember he used to go and shoot like basketball, like 5-on-5 or something? He'd go shoot the day of the fight. He'd go out in the morning and play some pickup with some of his mates just as a bit of a loosening up before his fucking 10-round fight, world title fights. Like, unbelievable. And then you see him go up a weight class and another. It's just, who does that? I mean, unbelievable talent. I mean, look, watching those 8 rounds, I just had a permanent glitchy smile on my face. I was just the whole 8 rounds, you know? And it's so funny. Tyson says, he goes, how did you deal with the 2-minute rounds? He goes, man, I was training for 3, but some of those 2-minute rounds felt like 3-minute rounds. And I love the honesty, right?
Yeah.
We think these people are like superhuman. They're just the same as you and me, mate. Just dying, looking at the other guy going, oh, does he look good? Does he look like shit? And you can see Tyson leaning over his stool, having a look at him, you know, trying to have a look and see what kind of condition it was in. It was like Rocky Apollo, you know, in Rocky 2. It was so great.
But the best bit of that post presser or whatever you want to call it, the interview, I found, and I guess that's what you were referring to, was when they were like, were you worried to Roy Jones? And he's like, "You worried about him? I've been out of the game for 15 years. He quit 2 years ago. You worried about him? Why does no one worry about me?"
He was genuinely concerned. Because were you worried? Hell, you worried about him? I'm 54. He's 51 years old. He stopped boxing 3 years ago. I've been out for 20 years, and you're asking him about his health? And then when Tyson just turns around and leaves, oh my God, that was the best. Oh my God. Go watch the interview. It's money. It's money. Oh, I loved it.
Now,
I loved it.
I've got 2 more things about that, and then we'll start to wrap it up. So first,
no worries.
First and foremost, what did you think of the co? Did you watch the co between Nate Robinson and Logan Paul, or Paul Logan? I never know which way around that one goes. Did you?
Yes, I did. What a knockout.
And
holy, he was out as soon as he touched him. He looked like a bit of a shot. He was just trying to throw an overhand. He ducked and hit him in the back of the head, right? That's not his fault. You're going to duck that low. You're going to prepare to hit in the back of the head. They always say, keep your head up. What do you think they said? The refs say, keep your head up. Keep your head up. Not because you want to get knocked out. It's because you're going to avoid, well, actually, because we don't want you to get knocked out, right? And that second shot, oh my God, it was a truck stopper, that one. My God. What did you think about that?
Well, I was like, lights out. But like, no, the reason I ask you, the reason I ask you is that I've seen 2 mixed opinions. Like, Tyson was actually a big fan of that. Like I read somewhere one of his quotes, and he was like, all props to him, you know, if he gets more eyes back on boxing, this and that. But I've also seen a lot of people in the boxing community really hate on that fight because they kind of feel like it's a circus show to have an NBA player and a YouTuber kind of like like, what's your opinion on that? Like, do you
Man, I didn't
feel it was
really
good
care
for
too much about it.
But I'm saying, do you feel it was good for the sport to have those two compete, or do you kind of feel like, yes, it was more of a circus act?
Look, considering that we had the exhibition with the Tyson and the Roy Jones event, to have a couple of YouTubers on there, I mean, they had Snoop Dogg as one of the co-commentators too. So look, I think they kind of went with a bit more of a relaxed one, more like, okay, this is more of a entertainment card. I felt, and it didn't worry me because I had some support there. But if you've got like a professional card and then you're going to put on a couple of, like a YouTuber and an influencer on there, or an NBA guy on there, I don't know about that. But considering they had the Jones exhibition, the Jones Tyson exhibition, and these are guys are pretty, big stars out there in their worlds, like the NBA guy and the YouTube influencer or whatever. But I mean, what a freaking knockout. I mean, it's not like Paul had no game. Look how much game he had. Now, he's going to go up against Garcia. Don't worry about it. That guy, you might as well book a stretcher, because he's going to mop him. There's no doubt about it. If that ever happens, I think there was some talk about it happening or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm confused. I'm not right into the boxing anymore. You're in it. Obviously, the gloves in the background. You can answer that question more. But I wasn't bothered by it, to answer quickly. I wasn't bothered.
See, I wasn't bothered by it either. I mean, the way I see it is, I give him props for the simple reason that, yes, he's a YouTuber, right? But he's 2-0 now in his pro record. And I kind of go, even when you look at some of these most decorated boxers, when they were 2-0, they weren't at the peak of their game either. Like, I just kind of go, like, it looks like, as I said, I don't know, is it Paul Logan or Logan Paul? I don't know. I apologize for that. But, like, I kind of see it as
Logan Paul.
Yeah, I kind of
because the surnames are flashed on the screen, and it was Paul.
Yeah, so I kind of go, listen, you've got this cushy YouTube life. For you to put your neck up and want to get into this professional boxing, and it looks like, I mean, he's calling more people out and stuff, so it looks like it's not like he's just doing it for one or two times. It looks like he wants to go down it. And I'm like, everyone has a beginning somewhere. So yes, he's not the most polished boxer. Yes, he's got this, he's a YouTuber, but I'm saying, like, if he's taking it serious and he wants to progress, like, my hat's off to him. I really don't.
Give him a more game opponent. Let's see.
Yeah.
Put a little bit more pressure on him now and see what happens. But I don't mind seeing an NFL guy come out and fight a guy like a YouTube guy. I mean, so what? If he's got game, he's trained, he's in shape. It's not like we're seeing two muffin tops out there bouncing around looking disgusting. I mean, these guys are in shape. They're coming ready. Like, if you come correct, I got no problem, mate. Hey, to me, a fight's a fight. I'm there for the fight, man. I don't give a shit what the background is. I'm there to see a fight. I want to see a fight. If someone's fighting in the street, I'm going to watch it. As long as it's not some old lady getting beat up. But if there's a fair fight on the street, I'm going to watch that shit. You know why? Because I'm a fight fan.
Yeah.
I'm a fight fan.
Yep.
It's not like a sports thing for me. You know what I mean? It's not like a ball in a bucket. This is a fight for me, and I'm interested.
Now, the last thing I want to talk to you about, which was, you already brought it up, was Snoop Dogg. Now, the reason he was the commentator was apparently he's got shares in this Triller or whatever, so he's got invested interest into it,
Fair
right? But he kind of blew up the internet, right? Like, one of the big things that came out of that was, like, he's commentating. And I mean, he's had his go on the Contender Series as well. Like, right. From one commentator to another, I guess. How do you see his performance? Do you feel like it is a little bit of a gimmick, or could you actually see him, I guess, take it a little more serious? And because now everyone's like, ESPN should pick him up and all these things, like, people are like, literally like, you need to make this guy a commentator. So I just want to get another commentator's like opinion on that. Like, would you be happy to see Snoop take the chair?
100%. 100%. Boxing probably needs it, to be honest with you. I mean, look, they make a lot of money. I mean, these big title fights, they make hundreds of millions of dollars. Sure. So you could say, well, boxing doesn't need it. Well, you know what? Boxing needs something. But I mean, it's going to make me watch it more. If Snoop Dogg's on the cans, it's going to be hilarious. Can you imagine what's going to come out of that? The guy, he's Snoop Dogg. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have him on there, and he has knowledge base on it. And I thought he did a great job. I thought he did a great job. I really did. I thought he did well. So for me, man, I'm all about it. And they had another commentator on there too. The guy on the end. I'm not too sure who he was, but they had another guy on there as well. Mate, I'm all for it.
What, is he?
I'm all for it.
You talking
Sorry?
about Izzy? Are you talking about Izzy?
That was Izzy?
Izzy.
I mean, I didn't watch the whole card.
Yeah. So Izzy, because he's stuck.
Israel?
He's
Adesanya?
Adesanya.
I thought it was him. Oh my god!
So he's
I only had
stuck
time
over
to
there
watch
at the moment.
the Tyson one.
He's stuck over there at the moment because of the whole restrictions.
That's what happened.
So they got him in. So
right.
that was his first ever
Very
commentating
good.
experience. So yeah, that was Izzy.
Well,
on the end.
look, man. I only watched the Tyson fight, and I saw the Logan Paul fight. All right, that's all I saw because then I was in the office doing the podcast. So I didn't get a chance to watch the whole card to get a whole complete view on Snoop and Israel as well. But I mean, I got no complaints, man. Whoever was on the panel, I was like, because I said to my son, I go, "Hey, Andre, that sounds like Adesanya." Just nah. I don't know, man. Listen, man. I just come off the 2.5 hour bike ride doing multiple hill repeats. I was dead. I was starving. I was done. So I really wasn't picking up on it too much. But now that you mention it, mate, yeah, awesome. Who doesn't want to see that? I want to see that. Absolutely, 100%.
Unbelievable. Well, look, man, it's been great chatting to you. I don't think anyone's ever come with this amount of energy. I love it. I honestly love it. And like it's been one of those things because we used to like, you know, travel a bit of the country together and stuff, and it's been a minute. So it's like really good that, you know,
so good to talk to you.
It's great that we have this technology now that we can do this, right? I absolutely love it. But look, we are going to wrap it up. But before I do, I just want to give you...
We should do it again.
100%. Because as I said to you,
thanks for having me.
I always have a list of things I want to talk about, and we probably got through about 20% of it. You know what I'm saying? So we could definitely go again. But for people that want to reach out to you, whether it's now that, you know, you've got the gym back open, if they want to get into the 10th Planet gym, if they just want to hit you up, if they want to talk fights since you are an avid fight fan, or even Absolutely. Give us a little spin on your podcast, you know, from one podcaster to another. Like, what's the best way of people either listening to you, reaching out to you? What's the best ways?
All right, so you can contact me if you're interested in training. Of course, you're in Melbourne. You want to come drop in and have a roll with us, and that'd be great. Go to 10planet.com.au. You can register your email, and I'll send a reply with everything you need to know to get started on your journey. If you want to drop in, just drop in an email in the box provided, and I will get back to you and let you know when I'm available and when I'm there. I'm there every night, but strange things happen, and we're in a real strange time. So always check in to make sure I'm there so we can get a photo and we can meet because I love doing that. Obviously, on all the socials, Instagram, Frank Barca, 10P4L, Facebook, same thing. We have a podcast, the 10 podcast. That's the TEN podcast. We have Facebook. We have Instagram. It's all on iTunes, Stitcher, and all the platforms there as well. You can catch me there. I think that pretty much wraps it up where you can find me, and everyone is always welcome.
Mate, as I said, like I honestly have to thank you so much. I have never ever felt that amount of energy for any of the guests. Like that was absolutely awesome. Look, I wish you all the best down south. I know that we're starting to open all the borders and stuff, so we are looking like we're heading in the right direction. And I hope at some stage you get back up to New South Wales, or maybe I'll get down to Melbourne and we can actually have a conversation in person. But until then, we'll call this a day.
I'm a one.